is Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We're broadcasting from the Concierge Landscape Studios, and we're brought to you by Extreme Exteriors. It's time for a message from the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. The MHA Minute is brought to you by Pest Control Services. When you need an exterminator, you want someone reliable and effective. Give Greg Keener a call at Pest Control Services, 952-894-9748. Pest Control Services is a proud member of Angie's List and a member of the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. That's Pest Control Services, 952-894-9748, and tell Greg that Gene and Tony sent you.
If you're renting out a property for the first time, there's a lot you need to know so that you can do it successfully and, frankly, keep yourself out of trouble. Luckily, there's a statewide resource with all the tools you need to run your new business successfully. In fact, the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association regularly holds a seminar called Accidental Landlord, specifically designed for people who are renting out a property for the first time. They also have residential leases, security deposit agreements, a lead disclosure, and lots of other forms. They even have brochures on the principles of successful property management and the eviction process that you can download for free. So if you want to know more about the Accidental Landlord Seminar or other classes about owning, managing, or maintaining anything from a single unit to a growing apartment portfolio, visit the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association's website, mmha.com. That's two M's, mmha.com.
Gene, we've been talking about a homeowners association without any homeowners. And what we learned was it was under development. About 62 homes were sold, but that only represented 35% of the community. And because their requirement was 85% of the community had to be sold, the developer wasn't able to turn over control to the homeowners.
That's right. And it is something that is not what the developer wants either.
No.
Believe me,
No.
They want to. They would just as soon sell everything and be done, and to give everything in your hands as the homeowner.
Sure,
but they can't, and so they have some obligations.
They didn't build. They're not property management company. They didn't build the community so that they could run the community. Yeah. They built it because they're builders.
So what really, I guess we're not talking about an association without homeowners. Maybe what we have more accurately is a homeowners association without representation, or what they feel is proper representation.
Yeah, that's right.
Because here's what happens, folks. The developer, of course, creates the property, the homeowner association. It is now a nonprofit corporation. And the association is solely owned and run and managed by the developer. And the developer hopes that there's a quick sales process so that as a majority of the homeowners become present and living at the property, that power can switch hands from the developer to the homeowners. When that doesn't, the homeowners aren't prepared to take over all the duties of the association. For example, if you only have 35% of the folks living there, you don't want to take on 100% of all of the expenses.
No, that's right.
You only want to take on 35%, so you want the developer to stay involved. But you, on the other hand, if it takes a long time, you don't appreciate the developer being in control when you, the homeowner, don't have a say in the matter.
Well, that's right. You aren't represented in that structure, and that's what happened here. One of the members, a 71-year-old woman, started asking specific questions about how the money was being spent, the dues she paid every month. She was contacting the board president, who was a representative of the developer, and said, "I want specific answers about this."
And that is something she has. She has the right to know as a homeowner living in that association. Unfortunately, like every so often with these kind of stories, when the person is being asked for the questions, they get on the defensive. They think they're being harassed. The homeowner thinks that they're not getting questions answered quick enough for them.
Well, they think the person's being
so
evasive.
They feel they're evasive and stalling, and it's not not a good recipe for good relationship building.
In fact, the board president said the attorney general from Missouri, this took place outside St. Louis, called him to ask why he wasn't paying the bills. And that's because this homeowner, had contacted the attorney general's office because the board president wouldn't answer her questions.
Yes.
So we've got this vicious circle
And
going.
it's that same thing we talked about with our first story as well, too. There needs to be the responsibility of the association to take the time to communicate. You can't go anytime you do not let people know what's going on. Believe me, it's human nature to fill in the void, and people will do it with whatever they can come up with.
Well, they will do it with whatever negative they can come up with. It's very unlikely. It's very uncommon human nature to fill the void with positive thoughts and sunshine and support. It's usually
you're
suspicion.
kind of a jaded individual, aren't you?
Sorry. You don't think that's true? You don't think that's true?
Well, no, I do. I did say I wasn't jaded. I just said
you were just pointing out that I was.
Yes, of course.
I see. Yeah, people will tend to be suspicious about those gaps.
Yes.
In this case, though, the homeowner wasn't just asking for facts and figures. She wanted backup documentation to prove what this guy was telling her. She went an extra mile there, didn't she?
But again, that's human nature. You understand people want to say, are thinking, boy, look, if you're not keeping close tabs, then I've got to, and then they go into this hyperdrive mode. So she was asking, not only do I want to see the invoices, but she wanted to read the description.
She didn't want to just see the bill came from the attorney and it cost this much money.
Exactly.
She wanted to see the billable hours. She wanted to see the
She wanted to try and add that up herself.
Yeah,
she wanted
I'm
to find
sorry.
out. She was going into all kinds of details.
Yeah.
And you can see why. And then above all of that, in this story, folks, it turns out not all of the bills had been paid. So now the homeowner says, look, it was true.
I was right.
I was right. What does that do for any kind of I guess building of any credibility,
no credibility,
out
no
the window.
trust level, nothing.
Yeah. And so you have a situation that is not a win-win.
No.
And so what can you do? I would of course recommend if you're a developer, you are dealing with a homeowners association, things aren't being filling up like you thought they would. Number one, you need to look at turning things over to the homeowners and get them involved in the process early on. Anytime you're going to do that, you're going to be dealing with difficult situations, maybe difficult issues with no easy solution, but all the more reason, I think, that you need to start bringing those people, everybody
involved in that. Would that be
in
legally possible? Before you turn it over to the homeowners, do you think this developer could have said, you know what, I would like a handful of homeowners to form a committee to meet with me once a month so that we can talk about the status of the association in an informal way? Would that be logical?
You know what? That does happen here in Minnesota because there has been the foresight in the development of homeowner associations to take a lot of that into consideration.
Yeah.
And I would like to talk about that, but it looks like we're coming up to a hard break here for the end of the first hour of Where You Live with Gene and Tony. Don't go away. We've got a lot more. We'll cover more about this homeowner association without any homeowners, and also Nana Unplugged. That's right, a 74-year-old grandmother who is going to chain herself to the front of her condo because she does not like what the association is doing. That and so much more here on Where You Live. We'll be back in a few minutes.
How sweet